James, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning. A pleasure to be with you as always.
U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken meets Gulf counterparts to put relations on an even keel.
Indeed, the United States has been working hard recently to try and put relations which have been troubled with Saudi Arabia on an even keel. Relations have been troubled going back to the election of Joe Biden, who had described the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia as a pariah. Blinken just was in Saudi Arabia for a meeting with the Crown Prince, as well as a meeting with GCC, Gulf Cooperation Council foreign ministers, and a meeting of the coalition against the Islamic State. And that visit was designed to try and improve relations not only with Saudi Arabia, but with also the United Arab Emirates, which are strained. Fact of the matter is that in some ways you could read what happened in Riyadh in recent days as Saudi Arabia asserting its independence from the United States while Blinken was in Riyadh. Mohammed bin Salman had a phone call with Putin and also was welcoming the Venezuelan president Maduro on his first visit to the kingdom. Having said that, all in all, both the United States and Saudi Arabia are finding a modus vivendi. It's a slow process, and it's really based on several things. One is security, and involved in that is also a U.S. push for diplomatic relations between Saudi Arabia and Israel.
Now, Israel could complicate U.S. efforts to stabilize relations with Saudi Arabia by opposing the kingdom's nuclear plans.
Exactly, and that leads from the first thing that we discussed, which basically is that the question is not whether Saudi Arabia will establish diplomatic relations with Israel. The question is when and on what terms. In terms of the United States, what Saudi Arabia wants is a firm defense commitment from the United States, a written commitment. That's going to be very difficult to get, given the status and Saudi Arabia's reputation in Washington. But it also wants U.S. support for a peaceful nuclear program. And that's where the Israelis could complicate things, because Israel's divided on that issue. The Israeli military establishment opposes any concessions on nuclear to Saudi Arabia, whereas the political leadership is inclined to be more flexible on that. All of this happens in a context in which we're moving back towards a nuclear world. Ukraine has proven that nuclear deterrence works. North Korea is not going to give up its nuclear programs. And Iran is a threshold nuclear state, which is going to have consequences for the posture of both Saudi Arabia and Turkey when it comes to nuclear issues.
Talking about Saudi Arabia, their high-profile sports blitz is off to a mixed start.
Indeed. So we've seen the unexpected, or maybe not so unexpected, merger between a Saudi-backed initiative in Gulf for a professional league and the long-standing organizer of Gulf's major events, the PGA Tour. And this has been interpreted as Saudi Arabia becoming a major player in sports. And that's really only partially true. The Saudi-backed initiative was in trouble. Mind you, that also had consequences for the PGA Tour, but nonetheless, the situation of two rival leagues was unsustainable, and therefore this makes perfect sense. In addition to that, Saudi Arabia is trying to buy, if you wish, soccer superstars like they did with Ronaldo and just did this week with Karim Benzema. But that's not going to create a Saudi performing soccer powerhouse. That has to be bottom up from the grassroots. And similarly, Saudi Arabia's potential bid for a World Cup in hosting in 2030 is in trouble because it was going to do that with Egypt and Greece, and Egypt has essentially pulled out of this. So what looks like a Saudi victory parade, if you wish, is actually more problematic than meets the eye.
And then finally, a senior Iranian cleric says mosque attendance has dropped dramatically in Iran.
Indeed. So this cleric, who's a member of the expert committee, has basically said that of the 75,000 mosques in Iran, 50,000 have very low or no attendance. And what that basically says is that support for a religious a regime that imposes religion in Iran has backfired, and that what the demonstrations last year represented is a far deeper malaise that the Iranians really only are going to be able to maintain by greater repression, given that popular sentiment and the sentiment for a more socially free, if not politically free, form of government is widespread.
All right, James. As always, we thank you for your time and for the update. Really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Listeners are reminded, you can go to the website, jamesmdorsey.net, check out the latest articles, subscribe to the newsletter.